You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 196 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my buddy Jeff Gargis. Jeff, how is your evening going?
I mean, it's going fantastic now. I got called buddy. Like, that's
All
not
right,
normally
buddy.
where you go with things. So that's I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. How are you feeling, Ray? You feeling all right?
You know, I wasn't feeling so good because you were making fun of me for the majority of the evening tonight, and then I just talked to our guest, Lindsay Titus, and I am back in fabulous spirits and just wanting. I feel like I could go conquer the world right now after hearing from her. So I'm
Yeah.
doing okay, but it really is no thanks to you. But it's okay, buddy. I appreciate you.
I'll take it, I guess.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Lindsay's
I'll
like
take whatever I can get.
thebomb.com. So we'll get to her
This was
episode in a little bit.
yes.
Can I tell
Yes.
you about a phone call I had today, really quick?
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure you had an idea of what you want to talk about on this podcast, but
Sure.
I'm gonna
Tell me
take
about
it.
your phone call. Yeah.
No, seriously. So I had a phone call today, and the first question that this person asked me was to further explain what the Teach Better team does. Like they were talking about how they read the blogs, they listen to the podcast, and they do all this stuff, but they didn't actually know that all these things were connected. Like they participated in Mastery Chat, but didn't know that was the Teach Better team, and kind of all these things. And so point blank, they were like, can you just what is the Teach Better team? And I had this realization that we don't really talk about talk about what the team is, what we stand for really that often in that blunt way. And so I thought that I'd kind of maybe throw the question at you just to hear your thoughts. But do you get asked that often? Like, what is the Teach Better team?
Yeah, I get asked it every now and then. A lot of what do you do? What's the whole reason and stuff like that. I mean, the thing that kind of binds us together is this vision of a world where every educator is connected, is supported, and is inspired to just be better every day, and so that their learners can not only discover but also develop their passions to go positively impact their communities. I mean, that's what we're trying to work for, right? So that's sort of what binds us together, and everything we do, we think about that. So then when you branch into, okay, what do we do though? So we do a lot of things. I mean, our primary thing that we do is we try to help educators be better. We try to support them. We do that in a wide variety of ways. A big way that we do that is actually providing professional development and training. We do that in the form of workshops. Prior to COVID-19 and the pandemic, we did a lot of that in person, in schools, in classrooms, all over the country. Now we do a lot of that virtually. We've also always had online courses over at teachbetteracademy.com. So we have that. We do a lot of coaching with teachers, with administrators. We do consultations with schools, both at the school level and the district level. We do full district-wide, school-wide or district-wide implementations of new initiatives. And I think where some people maybe don't see is that a lot of people know us for the grid method. And yeah, we do a lot of work with the grid method. We do a lot of that, implemented in schools and districts and stuff. But we also do a lot of work and a lot of other things. We do work, with our Teach Further model. We do, standards-based grading work. We do assessment work. We do, general just best practice work and classroom management work. There's a lot of different things that we do. And then with all of that, I think where we put a lot of our time, what most people kind of get connected to us by, is all these support pieces that we try to put in place to not only support our efforts in that work, but also just to support educators in general. So you have our private Facebook group, you've got our administrators mastermind every Tuesday, you've got this podcast, right? You got the Thursday chat. You already mentioned Mastery Chat. We've got live streams that we do all the time. We have blogs. We've got videos. We've got tutorial videos. We've got we got a bunch of downloads. So like ebooks, checklists, gamification badge kits, and what else we got? Posters and Observe Me stuff. We've got a swag site, so if you want to look good, we'll even try to support you in that sense, right? Just your fashion sense, whatever, right? So it all comes back around, Ray, to what we're trying to do all the time is just trying to support educators and everyone in the realm of education to just try and be better. What we always say is we're just trying to help you be better, and we're all just trying to be better today than we were yesterday and better tomorrow than we were today.
Well, and it's
So
funny, the one thing or the two things that you didn't mention in your really long list of all the ways that you can find, your niche and teach better. Because in my mind, like, all these things exist. So no matter where you need support, you're able to like kind of walk in and get it in whatever medium and capacity you want. But as the two groups that we also acknowledge that the Teach Better team is powerful, but we're more powerful when we connect to other educators. And yeah, we do that through Twitter and Instagram and all that. But our Teach Better Speakers Network, our speakers that we're able to collaborate with, that are associated with our brand, that are experts in a number of different fields that we don't necessarily specifically do work in. So we've partnered with them to make sure that we can support you in those areas as well. But also, shout out to our Teach Better ambassadors. That was a brand new program that we just launched recently. We only accepted 20 applications, and we brought in 20 educators from around the world who were able to now come in and continue to add to that Teach Better mindset, continue to share the power of the Teach Better team, and to celebrate a little bit and share their ideas. And actually, Lindsay Titus, who's a featured guest on this podcast episode, is a Teach Better ambassador, and massive shout out to her. We have these like levels and tiers to our ambassador program. She just posted that she has reached level 3, which is one of our highest
Oh, no
levels
kidding.
right now. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Nice. Wow.
I know.
Just blazing through that.
Blazing through it. So it's been so cool. It's just funny when people ask about the team. Like, I don't even know where to start because there's so much, and it's so important that people know that there's not so much because we like have all the time in the world, and if we're not writing blogs, we're twiddling our thumbs. But we have so much because we know that every single educator might need something different. We really want to make
Yes.
sure that we're not only encouraging you to personalize your students, learning opportunities and focus on mastery, but we want to model that as well by giving every educator every opportunity possible to comfortably take that next step towards better. And it's just fun. I love our team,
Yeah.
Jeff.
It,
I love our family.
yeah. You said that so well. It really is. It's really about just trying to put support pieces in place in every possible thing that we can think of, so that however it is that you learn or whatever support you need, you've got it, and you can find us there. So good stuff. That was fun.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
a fun call. A
That's
fun
the
call.
team. I don't know. That's the team. Oh, and just so everybody knows, our listeners, I answered it exactly like that on the phone call. Trust me, I didn't stumble over any words in that description.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Good to
Yeah,
know. So
for
let's
sure.
talk really quick. I want to get right. I want to get in this episode. I don't even want to say a ton because Lindsay says you just listening to her is all you need. But Lindsay Titus she's 15 years. I think she said 15 years in education. She's a certified general and special education teacher. And she's also the CEO and founder of Define University. And we talk a lot about that, her coaching that she does. We get her going on some stuff, and it is just, I mean, it's just gold, just gold nugget after gold nugget this entire episode. Insanely powerful. I love the way not just the concepts that she talks about, but the way she phrases things and the way she connects things to me is just it's unmatched. It's not like anyone else you hear. It's so powerful. So it's so good that we didn't even like during the whole episode. I don't think we even mentioned that she's an ambassador, right?
I don't
Like
think so either.
that didn't even come up because it like I just thought of it when you say that. I'm like, yeah, she is. Like that's like another awesome thing. But there's so much that she's doing. It's just so awesome. So I'm excited to just highlight. Right, I know you could say a million things about Lindsay, but do you have anything to add before we get into this?
I guess the main thing I want to say is something that we actually said off the air after we finished recording. I know that a lot of people can talk to you about student behavior. A lot of people can talk to you about social emotional well-being of students and trauma and all these things. I know there are so many experts out there. And by the way, you guys should all go connect with all of them, right? Like the more the merrier for us to be better.
Yeah,
Lindsay is just special. I just truly believe she's special. She shares things in a way that just sucks me in, and I'm such a fan. So, in the lamest way possible, I just want to encourage you one more time, guys, make sure you are connecting with good educators that push you and empower you to be better. Lindsay is that type of educator.
I love it. With that, let's get into episode 196 with Lindsay Titus.
We'll be getting right back to this podcast episode, but really quick, I want to give a special shout out to any leaders in schools. If you are a district leader, a school building leader in any capacity, the Teach Better team has a weekly administrative mastermind, which actually welcomes in district leaders from around the world to come together and collaborate. There is no better time than right now to make sure that you are considering all factors and sharing resources with educators around the country and around the world. This is an amazing get-together that happens every single Tuesday at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. And if you have any sort of leadership role, consider this your invitation. You can get the private link to make sure that you're part of this weekly get-together over at teachbetter.com/mastermind. All right, leaders, we'll see you there, but let's get back to this episode.
All right, we are here and we are chatting with Lindsay Titus. And Lindsay, we're already laughing. We've already gotten completely out of control. It's been a little bit absurd at moments here before we hit record. I'd love to sit here and say it's all Ray, but I'm pretty sure a lot of it's my fault as well. So this is going to be a fun episode. We're super excited to have you on. You've just kind of come like bursting into our world a little like a month or so or 2 months ago, whatever it was, and we've just like all fallen in love with you. We love having you in our world and a part of our family. So super excited to have you on tonight and to just chat a little bit and really just focus on you and highlight you tonight. So before we get too far into that, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, I am so energized right now. So ironically, as it's a little bit even past my bedtime, usually I'm trying to get to bed a little earlier, but I just wrapped up the final call with what I call my Ignite Your Legacy educators. So Ignite Your Legacy is a group that I run every week for 12 weeks, really tapping into educators and helping them ignite their legacy. And after these calls, I am so fired up. I am so energized because I see the impact and I see the passion and purpose in these educators, which I love nothing more. So I am so ready and so honored that I'm here, and I'm ready to dive into today's episode.
Oh, I love it, Lindsay. I'm so glad you're here. And I cannot believe it took this long to get you on Teach Better Talk, because I feel like you've been like a favorite in the Teach Better family for so long, since you've been connected with us, sharing your insight. I mean, I think it started with your killer Instagram stories, and then you did a daily drop in, and then you and I just did a session together for our group as well. So you and I love any opportunity to chat with you. Before we get too far in, I do want to make sure that we give our listeners a little bit of background on all that you do. And I don't know how you're necessarily going to fit it in to one question, but good luck. When you describe what you do, how would you share all those details?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an expansive question, and I love using that word. I love using the word expansive because I think for a really long time I thought we were meant to do one thing and only one thing. And what I've learned is that it could not be farther from the truth. And so in the simplest way, I share that I'm an educator, and I love the word term educator because to me it encompasses all that I do. But I've actually been in the field I'm heading into year 15. And so I'm pretty excited about that because I wasn't sure I was going to make it past year 1. So now we are at year 15. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm certified. I started out in teaching. I'm certified general and special education teacher. I taught students, I taught kindergarten through second grade self-contained special education for 5 years. Really then decided behavior was more my passion and really fell in love with all things behavior. So I went back to school, became a board certified behavior analyst, and really the last 10 years, I've been diving into behavior specialist, behavior consultant work, doing a little bit of everything. I've done residential, I've done in-home private ABA services, I work for a non-for-profit agency, and most recently, I'm back in a K-12 public school district as a behavior and autism specialist, working with kindergartners through seniors. In addition to all of that, I am also the CEO and founder of Define University, which is an educational coaching company where I focus on training educators to define who they are so they can bring all of who they are into the classroom, into their life with confidence, because we've all got it, and some of us just need that little extra encouragement to let it shine.
All right, so I want to dive right into that. So it's Define University, like U is the YOU. Can you share with us where that came from? How long have you had that going on, and then what was it that really sparked you to say, you know, I need to start this, I need to do this thing, and this is what I'm going to build? Can you kind of take us in sort of that journey with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So so the play on words is real key there. So the YOU, because to me, it is all about defining who we are. And like I said, I almost didn't make it out of year one. And I wish I would say I was kidding, but I really wasn't. Year 1 through 5 for me were really hard. They were really tough. I lost any sight of who I was through those years because I tried to be who I thought I needed to be. I tried to be the teacher that I thought my students needed, that I thought my admin wanted me to be, that the books I was reading said to be. And, I'm a rule follower by nature. So if someone told me to do something, I was going to do it. But what I learned along the way is that I was doing it for them. I was doing it through their lens, through their life, and not what worked for me. And through that, I really started questioning, is education for me? Is this, is being an educator what I'm meant to do? Can I really live up to this? Can I really do this for the next 30, 40, ideally 50 years? I wanted something where I could be passionate every day. I didn't want, a job where I was wishing, I was wishing the weekend. I want passion every single day. And I did all the things I knew to do out in the environment. So I read all the books. I started listening to podcasts when they came out. I did the exercise. I went to therapy. I did counseling. I did all the things, and yet I still felt that something was missing. And I remember just searching Instagram one day, and I came across a coach, and it was one of those moments when I read the caption, I watched her stories, and I was hooked. And the difference was she taught me how to define who I was and who I am on the inside, and then bring that into any role that I served. She was able to teach me that what I was doing was I was actually redefining myself for every role I served. So when I was a teacher, I was this role. When I was mom, I was that role. When I was wife, I was this role, and daughter and sister and friend. And we all have these so many identities. And I think when we don't know who we actually are outside of all those identities, I had no idea who Lindsay was. So I went through it's now been a 2-year process, but after a year, people started to notice. And the people in my inner circle noticed the most, because they noticed, you have a podcast now, and you didn't even speak when you were, younger, which is, I had a behavior plan to get me to talk in class. And now you can't stop me from talking. So, I think it's a really important lesson that where kids are as kids does not mean that's where they're going to be as adults. And I think a lot of adults, we hold on to those stories that we've told ourselves for the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And so Define You really was born last year. We just celebrated its 1-year anniversary. And it really has been aimed at helping educators understand who they are, because I do believe it's when we can share our story, when we can own all of who we are unapologetically, and realize that we get to create a life that we are passionate about inside and outside of the classroom, then the passion we bring into the classroom only expands and gets larger. And then our students are seeing that, so they are more passionate. And it's just this beautiful momentum that gets built, all by starting with something we all have right now, which is ourselves. We just have to take the time and the effort and the energy to look within, and then bring that into our outer reality.
Mm. Wow, that's powerful. And I mean, such important work that you're doing. I love how you do it. Your morning Instagram live or stories and lives are such an empowering piece, and exciting to watch. Such a great way to kind of start the day. So, really appreciate what you do, and appreciate you sharing that story with us. Let's do another. Let's keep the stories going here. Let's talk about failure for a second. This is something we talk. I always say that I've been really fortunate to fail a lot, because I've learned from all that. It's created who I am. It's led me to where I am now. Can you share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure? So take us there with you. What happened? How did you overcome that? And then what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on what I shared earlier, and that those first 5 years of teaching were real tough. And that fifth year, I had been at one school. I had switched to a different school because I thought maybe this shift will be what I'm looking for. And that quickly became a pattern in my life. I kept trying to find something else, and realized I wasn't going to find it. But I thought, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to keep going. And ultimately, it got to that fifth year of teaching. I couldn't do do it anymore. I was having panic attacks. I had them for years. I've had them since I was a child all the way through, but they really increased that year. And I ended up resigning in May. And where I am in New York, we go through June. So I resigned about 2 months early from the school year. And it ultimately I made that decision because it came to a point where I had to put my own mental health needs over everyone else, which was the hardest decision I had made in a really long time. And I felt that I had failed, but more than that, I felt that I was a failure. And so then I felt that I had failed my staff, my students, my own parents who had helped me go through school. And here I am saying, I just graduated 5 years ago, and I don't know that this is what I'm going to do. I had my bachelor's and my master's, and I was like, I don't know that this is something I can do. And so I really felt like I let myself down, but I also felt like I let everybody down in my circle. It ultimately took me a few years to realize that failing and being a failure are very different. And now looking back, I'm so grateful for the lessons I learned that year. And specific, what I think I learned the most is that you have to be specific in what you want. So part of my frustration in those years was I didn't feel heard and I didn't feel valued. But in reflecting back through in the work that I do for my own self and my own journey, I realized I wasn't being specific in what I needed. I would say I need support when really I needed training. I would say I need support, but really I needed to be able to hold those really crucial conversations with the staff in my room. And so when I looked back, I always felt, well, they didn't support me, whether it be, paraprofessionals in my class or the related service or even my mentor or administration. But at the end of the day, it's not about support. It's about asking for help and advocating for needs. And I realized I wasn't doing that in a way where other people understood what I needed. And so shift to now, I don't tend to use the word support very often for what I need. I ask for exactly what it is, because if I say support, how I define support might be very different from someone else defining support. And I think one of the, again, kind of the play on words with Define University is we do get to define things as they apply to each of us, but I think it's also important we share those definitions, because if we're not coming at it from a common place, a common standing point, that's when confusion happens, and that's when we can often get in power struggles. And it simply started because we had a difference of opinion or a difference of a definition. So the thing I've really learned is that there is a difference between failing and failure, but also be specific in what we need so that we can hold ourselves accountable, and we can also seek out that help in the best way possible for what it is that we need.
Oh, Lindsay, this is just a perfect example of every single conversation we have where you just share so much amazing insight. I love listening to you. There's so many tips and tricks already, but really, you always force me to be reflective, and I so appreciate that. And we are only like 2 questions in, holy moly. But question that we always love to ask our guests has to do with what's exciting you. And I was really excited when you were coming on this podcast to ask you this question specifically, because you provide so much coaching, so much support for educators, and you really are dedicated to helping other people be better, that I have to know, with everything in education, what really has you excited right now with all that you're doing?
I think the easiest way to say what excites me is that I feel like in education right now we are making the shift from 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 me to we. Really having this emphasis on culture and collaboration and community. And it's funny because as I even say those words, I'm like, but I so believe in being the strongest you can be, and I absolutely do. And I think it starts with me. I think, it's so much broader than me, but it has to start with me. But I love the shift we are taking, that it's not like I just said, it's not about me, it's about we. And that there's this reciprocal understanding that I learn from you and you learn from me. The only thing that designates, teacher and student, or teacher and child, adult and child, is ultimately age and level of knowledge. But I will also point out that I could find probably, students much younger than me that are going to have a lot more knowledge on content than I do. And so no longer is it, I am solely a teacher and you are solely a student or a learner. It is reciprocal, that we are all learning from one another. And I think this movement that's in education is just continues to expand and build momentum. I think, it's realizing that we can use that I learn from you and you learn from me as a form of communication to have these amazing conversations with students, and that we can connect with students by hearing what's being said and not focusing on how they're saying it or how they said it differently than maybe we wanted them to say it. And realizing that this shift is truly showing and showcasing how essential mindset is to educators and education as a whole. And I think that's just, it's a really cool movement to be a part of as a coach, as a trainer, as a presenter, but it's also really cool to see it happening through what I like to call the ripple effect. So if I coach an educator and then they go do it and then they go do it, the ripple effect that happens is just truly, it's amazing. And that's where you tie in that collaboration and that community. And so to me, that's what has me so excited right now about everything going on.
I love that. So if you had to give one piece of advice, and I know this is like almost comical to ask you this because you share so much advice, but if you had to pick one piece that every single person listening could take right now and go apply immediately to be better, to start their journey, continue their journey, what piece of advice would you give to those teachers?
Yeah, so I laugh because my advice that I give people, and if you followed me on any social media platform, you probably know this, but I don't tend to give the strategies that people I think expect me to give. So people often think, well, you have a BCBA, you're a special educator, you're going to tell me to go, buy this book or do this strategy or do this, and I don't, because again, I think I believe if you can go search for something, I don't need to teach you to do that. You can already do that. I believe we all can do that. But what I can't teach you, how to find online, but I can teach you how to find it within yourself, is who you are. So my best piece of advice, especially if we're looking at setting up classrooms, is one of my favorite environmental items is to put a mirror in your room. Hang a mirror in your classroom, hang a mirror in your home, because when you pass by that mirror, you're going to see you. You're going to see who's the most important person in your life, which is you. We are all experts on so many things, but we are the expert on one and only thing, which is you. And I think so quickly in those first few years, it can be so easy to fall into shouldville, which is that land where we go when we think we should do things or we shouldn't do things or we have to do things, we need to do things. And I think that a really easy way to stay in the present moment, to remind ourselves who we are and the impact we have, no matter if we are a first year teacher or a 20-year teacher, is using a mirror to remind you of who you are, what you value, and what you are passionate about in your classroom, instead of living in shouldville and focusing on everything else or something that everyone else is doing. I think it's so important to bring it back to who you are. The only thing that separates, a first year teacher from a 20-year teacher is just that. It's just the experience, but the passion, there's no minimum amount, there's no minimum amount of years that you need to teach in order to have passion. We have passion from the moment we're born, I believe, and it just continues to grow. And so, I often will tell people too, don't get stuck behind the word new. The word new is only because you haven't done it before, but don't let that hold you back. Let that be the catalyst that drives you forward. And I think it's just really important to surround ourselves with reminders so we can quickly go from being, in this moment of worry and stress and shouldville, and bring it back to your present day reality.
I am just sitting over here with a huge grin on my face. Uh, I love the mirror thing, Lindsay. That is so cool. And a simple thing, but like so powerful the way you phrase it. And I love your talk on the word new. Like, don't focus on the word new because it's not. It just means you haven't done it before. That is such awesome advice. I'm loving this. So let's have some fun with these next 6 ones. The goal here is to answer each one of these in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
YouTube, because that's where I find out about all my ed tech tools.
I like it. Give us the book you're reading right now.
So I'm reading 3. I don't think I ever just read one at a time. Bold Humility by Dave Schmittou, Leading for Results by Dennis Sparks, and All Marketers Tell Stories by Seth Godin.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram or social media in general today?
So my three favorites are Brian Mendler, Heidi LaFleur, and Elizabeth Bostwick.
Give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators.
So on YouTube, I love Pocketful of Primary for time management, organization, and productivity. And I love following That Special Educator for all things special education. Braylon does an amazing job.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Have a morning routine. Serve yourself before you serve others. So I started mine with 3 minutes of gratitude before I got out of bed, and it's built from there. Start small, be consistent, and it truly makes all the difference.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It gets to be easy. Life gets to be easy. Our success is inevitable, and instead of fighting it, flow with it.
Instead of fighting it, flow with it.
This is just, I'm telling you, every time I listen to you talk, I'm sad when it ends. I don't know how you have that effect, Lindsay, but every single time, it could be a live video, your Instagram stories, I don't care what it is, but whenever I listen to you talk, I'm like, wait, that can't be it. How is it possible that's the end? You have so much you're willing to share, and every single time I hear your goodness, it's different. You're not like a broken record, but always with new strategies, always with new tips. Ugh. Okay, I'm done fangirling out. Sorry, I'll get it together. So, Lindsay, I know you want to do a giveaway. So, before we share how people can stay connected to you, because they really, really need to, what type of giveaway are we doing?
Yeah, so through Define University, I have a monthly mentorship, which is called Creative Connections. So it's just as it sounds. It is mentorship to help you create connections. So I do not want any educator to ever feel like they are on their own island, that they are isolated, and instead, I want to open up having all educators to have the possibility to have a mentor that they can come to, this amazing group of educators to learn from each month and truly create connections across the United States. So I would love to give 3 listeners a month subscription to that mentorship, just by listening. So I'm excited to give that out to 3 amazing educators.
All right, so we got to make sure that we have some way where we can choose those 3 winners. So maybe let's choose our platform first. Lindsay, do you want to do that they need to be on Twitter or on Instagram?
Let's do Twitter. I was gonna say Instagram, but let's change it up. Let's do Twitter.
All right, that's fine. We could do Twitter. So on Twitter, how should they share out that they want to win this? How are we choosing the 3 amazing educators that are going to have the opportunity to be a part of this great win?
So let's have educators share out their favorite way to connect with students on Twitter. And let's use hashtag Define University with the YOU and hashtag Teach Better.
I love it. Yes. And so as you're sharing out, there'll be 3 lucky winners. Jeff, how's that sound to you?
I like it. I think that's good.
All right. I cannot wait, Lindsay, for people to be entering to try and win one of those 3's coaching. Selfishly, I feel like I want to participate as well because I know there's so many good things there. I'm going to head over to Twitter and do it as well to make sure that people know how to stay connected to you, not only for this great opportunity and giveaway, but also just in the future. Would you mind kind of sharing how people can stay connected?
Yeah, absolutely. So my handles are all a little different. Still working on streamlining those. So Twitter is ltitus828. Over on Instagram is lindsay.titus828. Facebook, you can just search my name. And Lindsay with an A. And I like to remind people it's A. I was born in Canada, so you can think of A, which is how you remember Lindsay has an A in it. And then my website is www.defineuniversity.com, where you can find all things podcast, freebies, my courses, my services, everything's on the website.
And you can find all the links and all the resources and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com in the show notes. So make sure you get over there, especially for those really important links for connecting with Lindsay, keeping it going, and learning more about everything she has going on. So check out teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this just one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators and share this podcast with them. Lindsay, this was awesome. This episode is just ridiculously packed with value and inspiration and so much power here. So really, really appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us, sharing your story, and just being a part of the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a blast.
Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.